Hello everyone, my name is Raven, and welcome to Raven Gaming Labs, and welcome to this very awesome build engine tutorial series. In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at creating maps using the original build engine. And this means that you will need a copy of Duke Nukem 3D, and there are a couple different places you can get it. And I'm actually doing this inside of DOSBox staging, to keep it extra retro and extra cool. And we're just going to do an LS here. And this is a feature that DOSBox staging has. Otherwise, you could do a dir/w to, if you wanted to be more old school and, actually look at it in that manner. But I'm going to use the LS because LS highlights executables and separates. So the only thing that we're really going to look at is build.exe and build help. So build help, or build HLP, is the built-in build doc tool for how to use the build editor, and it explains actually pretty much every single feature that exists. It is actually really, really nice. I would argue that this is where Apogee really did well compared to id Software, was including not only a proper level editor, which is what they used, but also just this amazing documentation that someone spent forever typing out, which is pretty cool. And we'll just hit escape because, we don't actually need that there. But again, we're going to use the build tool. And so we're going to do build, and then we're going to give it a name. Now, you don't actually have to give it a name at this point, but it helps. So I'm going to call this YT_01. Actually, I'm going to call it YTT_01 for YouTube tutorial 01. And then I'm going to hit enter. And then we hit Y to accept it. And now we're brought to our lovely little editor here. Now, we're not going to cover every single thing in this very first video, but we are going to cover a little bit. So the first thing, we look down here. We got our version number, built by Ken Silverman. This is the location of our little white cursor here. And on the bottom right, we have the number of sectors that are in the map out of the max number. Same thing for walls and sprites. Now, one thing that's very, very important is, yes, it really is limited to 1,024 sectors, 8,102 walls, and 4096 sprites. So don't have, too much space, but you're also not super limited either. I mean, everyone's played Duke Nukem, Shadow Warrior, Blood, all that cool stuff. You can make some very impressive games with this engine. And you can hold the right mouse button to move the white arrow key around, or you can just right click and it'll just warp you. You can hit A to zoom in, Z to zoom out, and you'll probably see this little brown arrow here and the direction that it's facing, which is pretty important, because we'll look at how we change that in a second. And this is the player's starting point. Now, we can't go into 3D view quite yet, and to get into 3D view, you have to have a numpad. I don't know how you do this without a numpad, but you hit numpad enter. It's very important, numpad enter, and it'll say arrow must be inside a sector before entering 3D mode. So, and yes, this game did have a 3D mode for those who have never seen it, which is very cool. So we have our little red cursor here, and we're just going to hover over here, and then we'll hit space, and it will give us a very beautiful little green square, and then a line, and the line is tied to the grid, and you can hit G to change the grid, and you can completely turn it off, and then hit G again. Oh, look at that. It's back on. Hit G again, and now we're back to where we were originally. Now, one thing that is very important that I would recommend is you stay within the grid when you're first building levels, because, it's very easy to mess up. And deleting is not exactly the easiest thing, although it's not difficult either, but this is a very old school tool. So, it's not like Unreal Engine 5 or anything like that. In some ways, it's a lot easier too. And if you happen to make a mistake, or you want to get out of line draw, like you're like, I don't want this line draw, just hit backspace. If you have a couple different lines and you've placed them around and you're like, oh god, I've made too many mistakes, just backspace to get out of it. No big deal. And we're just going to draw a square. And we'll just do this, and we're going to line them all up. And voila. And now, as you can see, when we hover over, the line will be flickering. It'll be blinking. That's to let us know that that's the active line that our cursor is on. And now, if we were to hit enter, we'll actually go into the 3D view, which is super... I love that it has this just built in, like, right out of the box. This must have been so helpful for, you know, making a level. And then up here, we have our frame rate, and I'm getting about 90 FPS here. I set my DOSBox to about 60,000 cycles, which is similar to performance of my real AM5X86 machine, or it's about the equivalent of a Pentium 90. So, you know, take your pick there. And we'll hit enter to get out of it. Now, you'll notice that when we did this, and also you can use the arrow keys to move the white cursor around, you'll notice that our brown arrow, which is our player starting point, has changed. So what if we wanted to be in a different spot? Well, that's actually really easy. All we need to do is just position our white cursor wherever we want it to be, and then hit scroll lock. And I'll hit scroll lock again because, you know, I really don't want scroll lock tied to anything. And then we can change it. And there you go. We will always have our cursor there until we change it again. Now, another thing that I wish to point out in this tutorial is, let's say you make it too small and, you know, you want your box to be bigger. No big deal. You can just left click grab any of the vertices for the lines, and, you know, you can make a very interesting shape should you choose to. And if you would like to multi-select, you can hold right shift and make sure that your cursor is wherever you want it to be, because it'll draw based on your cursor. And now I can select both of these, and now you can see they're both blinking. And then I can just left click drag and drag them up. And what if I want to go back to, because you'll see that they're still actually selected? Well, then you'll just have to select the one. And there you go. Now you're back to single line select. Okay, so that's all that I'm going to cover, at least for this portion. But now what we want to do is we actually want to load it in, right? Because, you know, now that we've made our very small, very primitive map, how do we save it and all that good stuff? So we'll hit escape, and we have a couple different options. New, you know, everyone kind of knows what that does. Makes a new map. Load a map. We can save. We can save as, you know, if you want to change the name or anything like that. And we can also quit. Now, we're just going to hit save. And then we're going to hit escape again, and we're going to load. And you can see that these are some of the starter maps, you know, that exist and came with the editor. And they're kind of useful because they can kind of, like, you know, help and teach you some, like, very basic stuff. And you can see there's a whole lot of stuff in here. And if we were to hit enter and go into the view, you can see it's just an army of Dukes in here. Not really much else is in here. It's just a very basic little map there. But, you know, gets the job done. And then we'll hit escape. Do we really want to quit? Yes, it'll throw us right out. And save changes, no. So as you'll notice that was a little different than we're in 2D edit mode. And we'll do an LS. And now what we need to do is we actually need to load our map. And you can see that our map is right here. So all we need to do is do Duke3D map YTTT_01. And then we hit enter. It might take a second to load. It's got to load up the game and all this good stuff. It is, you know, emulating a Pentium 90, so it should go a little faster than normal. And then entering user map, and there you go. We now have our very small, very cramped map. And that's it. Really is truly that easy. And, like, we can go back to the title. And we can just exit out of that, and then we'll just clear that out. And there you go. And now what we can do, if we wanted to, is we can just load our map back up. And we'll immediately be in 3D view where we left off. And there we go. Okay, so that that completes this very quick and very easy tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to look at increasing wall height, adding new sectors, and changing the texture of the walls, the ceilings, all that sort of stuff. So, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Hey everyone, thanks for watching Raven Gaming Labs. Thanks to all the members and viewers who make RGL possible. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so that you can be notified. If you want to become a member, hit the join button or link in the description below. Members get early access to videos, member-exclusive content, and more. As well, don't forget to join our awesome community over at Discord. Y'all have a good one.